We all deserve to know what's really happening, and if an outside force is actually to blame for all of this. We must not shy away from this information any longer, for a time of great change is upon us that has been written about for thousands of years. To understand what's happening, we must first go back to the earliest developed human civilization on Earth, known as the Sumerians, in what's today known as Iraq. The Sumerians represent the first civilization to develop advanced writing techniques, as well as tracking events and chronicling our ancient history. The Sumerians claimed that their knowledge of the stars, writing, agriculture, and social structures were all lowered from heaven by great gods who came from a planet with a long elliptical orbit known as Planet X, or Niburu, meaning the crossing. The name Niburu is derived from the unusual elliptical orbit that the planet follows, which takes it through our central solar system every 3,600 years. The Sumerians left behind records indicating the existence of this planet in cuneiform writings and cylinder seals. The most famous of these is known as VA-243, which shows a scale model of our solar system, which includes our central sun and the planets that revolve around it, including Planet X, where they claim their gods came from. Today, most of society has been tricked into believing these gods in Planet X are nothing more than a myth and fairy tale to hide the truth with laughter and ridicule. This clever tactic has hidden the real version of history and our origins for generations, until over time it has been nearly lost forever. It's time for humanity to awaken from its amnesia of all of this happened before us. The Sumerians called their gods the Anunnaki, which meant those who from heaven to earth came. The Sumerians wrote in detail about both who the Anunnaki were and the events that led to their arrival on Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago from Planet X. We learned in the Enuma Elish in Atrahasis that the Anunnaki created humanity to ease the workload of the Igigi, the workforce of the royal family, and to jumpstart the genetics of the Neanderthal with their own DNA to toil in the Absu, which we know is South Africa. Today, thousands if not millions of ancient mining sites, dating to over 100,000 years old, utilizing advanced smelting techniques, have been found all over the region. This is the ancient reason why we still value gold nearly above all else, and is part of our long history of slavery on the planet. We are now just waking up to the truth of all of this. The original purpose behind the creation of Homo sapiens, through the eyes of Enlil, was to become a simple slave race, with only enough intelligence to comprehend basic orders. The popular figure of the cross, represented by Planet X, meaning the crossing or the sacrifice on the crossing through Marduk's later trickery, was implemented into religion to become a massive control system of information and controlling the minds of all of society. A profound quote to explain this deception and control by Enlil, Ninurta, and Marduk on humanity comes from Barbara Marciniak, which states, "The ultimate tyranny in a society is not controlled by martial law, but controlled by the psychological manipulation of consciousness, through which reality is defined so that those who exist within it do not even realize they are in prison." In 1991, Dr. Robert Harrington, the chief astronomer of the US Naval Observatory, took an 8-inch telescope to the end of Black Birch, New Zealand, one of the few optimal viewing points on Earth, and discovered a large planetary body approaching our solar system. Dr. Harrington calculated this planetary body to be approaching from below the ecliptic at an angle of around 40 degrees. A year later in 1992, NASA gave 2 press briefings where they prepared the public for disclosure of a new planet in the far outer reaches of our solar system they called Planet X. Millions followed the events, awaiting the spectacular announcement of a new planet, only to hear silence. Before Harrington could publish his findings, he mysteriously died of throat cancer, and his research was quickly debunked as simply mathematical inaccuracies. All information and stories about Planet X quickly disappeared, and most forgot it even existed. Today, the Vatican Observatory continuously monitors the heavens from multiple telescopes, awaiting the great return from heaven of the Anunnaki in Planet X. As we approach the fall of 2017, 3,600 years since the last crossing of Niburu. No matter what happens during this pass, records indicate it will not be anywhere near as destructive as the past 12,800 years ago, which led to the end of the Ice Age and the Great Deluge. The biggest impacts from Planet X are likely not going to come from environmental disruptions, but from sweeping change across our social, monetary, political, religious, and scientific understandings. Reality as we know it will change forever once intelligent life is finally announced to the public. All of the silly distractions and ignorance that has plagued our world will melt away with astonishment and wonder once major discoveries in archaeology are revealed that lie under the Great Pyramid of Giza and the Sphinx, known as the Halls of Amenti. Our understanding of who we are and our place within the multiverse is just beginning to be understood. This will be a time of weighing our consciousness and measuring our actions to reflect on what kind of being we are and how we can contribute to our timeline story. The Anunnaki gods follow the ancient rules laid down for the balancing of energy during zodiacal cycles. The time of Pisces featured a negative polarity, which is why we saw war dominate the planet for thousands of years. All of these changes represent the great metamorphosis of our time as we enter the positive polarity of Aquarius in the next several years to take the first step on our journey into the cosmos to join our galactic neighbors. What kind of society will we become?
One day I hit record and I didn't have a recorder, nothing going in. So I let it run for a minute and there was just this flat line, there were no wave patterns. So I pumped it up and it was shh, a lot of white noise, and I started to hear these people saying, "We're the Pleiadians, we're trying to talk to you." And then I was like, I reversed it right away because I didn't want to be jerked around again. And they said the same thing. And they said, "We're trying to help the people there on Earth. We're trying to save their lives." And I had no idea what they were talking about. These people were already dead. And then they said, Planet X is coming in. They said a lot of things. I'd say about half of which I could hear because it was very, very soft. But they talked to me about how they tried to tell me about these reptilian aliens, that they were very vicious. They told me a lot of different things that over the period, it was about a 2-week period that I could hear them. After that, they told me that they said we lost the internet, which meant they lost their ability to communicate on my computer. Ever since then, I still get messages, but it's always in a reversal with somebody else speaking. It's not the direct conversations that I had for a while.
And why is it that you suspect that the reptilians have such easy access and the Pleiadians have such a difficult time?
They own this world inside of their net. We're in a lockdown, it's a force field.
The Pleiadians also miscalculated the arrival of Planet X.
Yes, they did.
Why would that happen?
Because they're not gods. They live in they live in a whole other system. Timing is always iffy, and you've got a big planet like Planet X, speeds up, slows down. They thought it was coming through last spring, right around this time. They told me we miscalculated, and they apologized. But so yeah, they were wrong. I mean, they're not God. Planet X is incoming, and Planet X is going to be filled with disinformation and fear, and people are going to freak out because when it is sighted, there's going to be a global panic, and there is going to be a disinformation campaign to make people feel that this is the worst thing that could ever happen. It's already started on the internet with the more unconventional sites that are talking about Niburu, Planet X. They're saying it's filled with reptilians coming to eat our face, and it's going to cause horrifying earth changes and shut down everything. And that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that we cried out for help because things are so bad here. Sent out for help. Here, this person saying, the one, you can help us. The one is the creator. We all know about the one, the creator, the divine. The one, you can help us. Sent out for help. Here, this person saying, the one, you can help us. The one is the creator. We all know about the one, the creator, the divine. The one, you can help us. They knew that that planet, as it passes between us, is going to shred this force field that will then, we're going to wake up. We're going to see for the first time that this person is saying is this planet's not going to hit Earth. It's not going to cause the devastation that is being talked about right now. Timing is always an iffy thing. I'm not saying that the planet is going to pass this year. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't think it's years off, but that's, reverse speaking is nonlinear. And this person is saying, and then they're nervous, they didn't see God. Now, when this planet passes, the Earth is going to be shielded. I'm not saying that it's going to be, there's not going to be anything, no Earth changes that are going to happen. That's impossible to say. But it's not going to cause the kind of devastation that we will be led to believe. This group, in the end here, I just want to hear you, because it's really good news. This planet, as it passes, will shred the force field that's held us in prison, and it will allow us to finally evolve the way we're supposed to. And then this person saying, God, stand over and end this. This is the help that we need. Planet X is going to help us. It is nothing to be feared. It is nothing, it is not a catastrophe. It is a prison break. We're finally going to evolve the way we're supposed to. Maybe that's what 2012 is all leading up to. But we need to get out of this net. We need to get out of this prison, break down the force field, wake up, see what's going on, get the other 90% of our brain happening. There's an active blog. Everybody's helping each other. I want everybody to be able to hear this too at minimal cost. So my website is www.evpreversespeaking.com. Thank you.
King Anu, called Zeus by the Greeks, can only leave when Niburu approaches the earth again. He then settled on Mount Olympus. What I'm trying to point out to your attention here, based on my research about the age of Aquarius, I have a playlist about this of about 75 videos. I also have a video about the photon belt, which is about 10 videos. So after viewing that, after also viewing and then after Matthew Lacroix' material, reviewing also the information from Peggy, Kane, and particularly what I want to point to attention is Planet X breaking the grid, especially part 2. Those are only excerpts. So the Pleiadians only did miscalculate, but that doesn't mean that it is not happening, and it is nothing to fear for those of us who want to be delivered and ask for help. This is help coming to us. And like Matthew pointed out, it will be a change of society, basically. And the creator of all is telling us that via the Pleiadians that there's nothing to fear. Peggy pointed this to us, that this is help coming because we ask for help. So that's wonderful news. And just as a side note, Anu, who was Zeus, I'm not saying that I worship at any stretch of imagination any god anyways. I learned my lesson, okay? There is no God between commas. I've learned my lesson, okay? But I'm just pointing to your attention that Anu / Zeus was able to leave the planet when Niburu was near, and he was standing on Mount Olympus. I was just pointing that to your attention, and I only made my humble contribution, mainly by Matthew and Peggy. Thank you for listening.